What is up, guys? It is the Sound Alchemist, and today we're back. That's us, Sound Alchemist, and
Gershwan
to bring you another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first.
That is what DFool06 has said and done. His question is, if the Silent King found a way to restore his people's souls into biological bodies, would he use it? Not the original sickly Necron tier bodies, but maybe some more stronger, better bodies. Even making or growing his own original designs.
That's a good question.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yep, what we're going to do is we're going to explain to all those that don't know who the Silent King is, who he is. Back in the day, the first two empires that ever existed in the galaxy were the Old Ones and then the Necron tier empire. The Necron tier empire was ruled over by the Silent King. He was called the Silent King because he never actually talked to anybody except his two
advisors.
Mm-hmm. And so if the empire ever wanted anything, like if there was conflict, they would go to the advisors with that message, and then the advisors would talk to the Silent King, and the Silent King would talk to them. Then, obviously the Necron thing happened, so the Battle of the War in Heaven caused them to turn to the Catan, and then the Catan, it is the Catan, right?
Right.
Yeah, the Catan ended up basically taking their souls, consuming the souls of everyone except the the
Necron Lords.
Necron Lords, and obviously the Silent King. And then he basically made them immortal, or the Catans made them immortal, and then they continued to fight the Old Ones, and they were pretty successful, but the Silent King felt bad that he basically damned his entire race. They were all just puppets to the Necron Lords and the Catan at that point. So he set a plan to destroy the Catan, and he kind of did. Like, he broke them into shards, and then after that, he was like, "All right, I'm leaving," because I felt bad that I did all this. And then he ordered the Great Sleep, I think it's called.
Something like that, yeah.
And then he left the galaxy. Now, as he was leaving the galaxy, legend has it that he saw the Tyranids and was like, "Whoa, this is bad. I need to go back and warn my people." And he's currently in the Milky Way. He's currently in the galaxy right now. Now, what you're asking is, so in the lore, it does not say that he can revive Necrons. Necrodermis is Necrodermis. It acts just like regular whatever, but there is no cure for destroying the Necrodermis, and there's no cure for the Flayed Ones virus, or the
Flare virus.
The Flare virus.
Right. So, say for some reason he did find a way to actually transfer souls into bodies. The majority of these Necrons, they're soulless. They're just robots at this point.
Yep.
So he'd only really be transferring the Necron Lords into biological bodies. And I don't think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to find a way to save the souls that have been consumed from the Catan back into Necron bodies.
Yeah, and GW could come up with something like that so that he has more fuel to fight the Tyranids, because the Tyranids are like the threat that made him come back to the galaxy. So it would be obvious that the Tyranids are basically never ending. Like, we don't really know how massive the hive fleets are.
Because everything we've seen, they're only tendrils of the actual fleet.
And then there is a finite number of Necrons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Necrons. So if he can somehow just revive those people, then yeah. You know what would be interesting? Because like the whole lore behind Necrons is the fact, or is tied to, what are they called? If you in D&D, what are they called? Those wizards that study
Necromancers?
Yeah. So basically, the Silent King would be a necromancer, and I think the the cool thing about necromancy is the fact that you can raise the dead, but what makes it scary is not just like you can raise like anybody, or the aesthetic, I guess, of the Necrons has always been like, oh, they're coming out of the ground. It's almost like they're, rising from their tombs. But I think the really scary part and the interesting part about that lore in D&D is that a necromancer can potentially bring back to life somebody that you felt like close to you, so somebody dear to you. So if they gave the Silent King the power to not only bring back already dead Necrons, but then also bring back other races as Necrons or a form of Necron, that would be badass.
So essentially, kind of, you're saying altering like a resurrection orb to resurrect other life forms with the souls of Necrons?
Yeah, I think that would be really badass. Or if the Silent King created those giant, what are they called? Like the giant furnaces that originally turned the Necron tier into Necrons, and basically,
yeah, the biotransference chambers or whatever they're called.
Yep. So then what you do is if you think about it, what is the number one race that like has really valuable souls? The humans, the Eldar, even orcs. So it would be really badass if they brought that theme to the Necrons. Not just having them be like, the army of the undead sci-fi edition, but like truly necromancy into the Necron lore. I think that would be badass.
Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. And that'd be another reason as to why the Silent King needs to stop the Tyranids, because the Tyranids are going to eat all living things. And, like, you need those bodies, so...
Or he flips it on him, and then all of a sudden he's throwing in the Tyranids into the, those giant things, basically turning Tyranids into Necrons. So then you have Necron Tyranids under the control of the Silent King fighting regular Tyranids.
Necronids.
That sounds badass. I think that probably won't be the way that the lore goes, but I think it would be interesting. And if you ever want to kit bash Necrons and Tyranids together, we gave you some ideas.
Yeah, that's interesting because like they're so different aesthetic wise. Like you got skeleton, it's made out of metal, and then you got like bugs.
There's this really cool guy on YouTube. I don't know his. I mean, I guess I could put it up. But he created this really organic looking paint scheme for his Tyranids. I think they're like sand crab themed or something like that. I'm gonna see if I can pull them up. But it's not impossible for you to do Necron style Tyranids because it's just silver and green. It's pretty basic.
Yeah.
I think that the difficult part would be like making it look a little less organic and more robotic. But yeah. So while I look that up, do you want another question?
Yeah, this one's also by DeFool06. His question is, how likely is the possibility that Mars and all of its forge worlds would rebel against the Imperium? Mars rebelling against the Imperium? I don't think it would be the entirety of all the forges and all of the AdMech, because they're also separated by cults. So you'd have to like unify them all together, and not just that, but you have the Chaos
Dark
Mechanicus, yeah, and that's also like part of them in a way.
Yeah, and it's already happened in the past. So during the Horus Heresy, Horus actually convinced the Fabricator General by saying, hey, everything that the Emperor said you can't research, so like artificial intelligence and all that good stuff, I'll let you research it if you jump over to Chaos's side. And then obviously the Fabricator General betrayed the Emperor, betraying the Imperium. But like you said, all those Forge Worlds, all those different cults and factions within the Adeptus Mechanicus basically fought each other. And it was a civil war on actual Mars. I think we have. So if you check out our 40 facts on the Silica Animus,
Yep.
we have the story of the night houses that defended Mars, and then we also have because there's I think the salamanders were a big important part in defending Mars. I want to say salamanders, but then that might not be true.
I mean, it would make sense just because like they're good with like forges and smithing weapons.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but yeah, check that out. Just check out all our videos on the AdMech. But yeah, does that answer the question?
I mean, do you think it'll happen again?
Yeah, I can see that the whole thing happening again.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a possibility, especially if like you see the rise and fall of certain empires and whatnot. Sometimes it may not be beneficial to stick with the Imperium.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally found the guy that I was telling you guys about. So there's this guy called Cat Gut Painting.
Cat Gut? Yeah,
so CATGUT painting. He did a really cool coconut crab painting scheme. So go check him out. She popped up in the YouTube feed, and I think I've seen his work on Instagram. So just want to give out a shout out to that guy just because it looks really badass. And if you're a Tyranid player, do it.
Do it now.
Next question.
This one's by Tank Guy 3. Is the greater WAAAGH powered by WAAAGH energy?
No, because WAAAGH energy comes from orcs, and we both are not orcs. Only I am the only orc player. So it's a combination of WAAAGH energy and
WAAAGH energy from WAAAGH.
No.
You're wearing the colors.
Yeah, blue. I thought his is purple. Is this blue or purple?
It's close enough.
And then the other side is drones.
Mm-hmm. AI, but not quite AI.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, I found these really cool, like third-party Tau models, and I bought them. So they're gonna be my stand-in for like the generals of my army.
That sounds badass.
You're badass.
Thank you. And then we'll do one more question. This one comes from Jonathan Pincher. What are your thoughts on Diggas, and how would you bring them back into 40K? From my understanding, that comes from Gorka Morka. So Diggas were humans that were stranded on the planet with orcs, and then they just kind of
interbred.
They didn't interbreed.
They're like a mix, though.
No, So what they did is they are orc-like. They're basically orc headhunters.
But more like
from Armageddon.
I don't know, because I thought they were more of like a mix of the two, like head on, like kind of like that, like a mix of like Ogren and orc.
Well, so what I would say is, because this is like an old
it's like
piece of the lore that's not
it's not canon anymore.
And what I would say is, if you want to reintroduce it, there are two ways. You can make Diggas abhumans, or you can make
abhumans Diggas.
Yeah, or you could just like make them their own imperial regiment, like the orc headhunters. Check out our 40 facts on the orc headhunters. They could use shooters. They could use sluggers. They work for them because they also believe that like it's possible, which means that there has to be some psychic WAAAGH energy connected to those regiments. So it's already canon. It already exists within the canon. Just make it or twist it a little bit so that
right.
Yeah, you have the Diggas.
But I mean, since they're still kind of considered human, who gets their souls? The Emperor or Gork and Mork?
Well, Gork and Mork I don't think consume souls. I think when an orc dies, he just dies. Yeah, they're very realistic.
Rip.
I think when a human dies, that's when depending on how good he was, he either gets taken by the Emperor or the Chaos Gods fight for his soul, or his soul is trapped in the, what is it called? The Great Abyss? No. There's the something wastes, the ash wastes,
ashen wastes,
something like that in the warp. Basically, where no chaos god controls that area, and then their souls just get ripped apart by the demons that
Oh, that's where like the vampires are at.
The Furies.
Furries.
And those were the questions for today. Thank you for sending those questions our way. We will answer more questions for you tomorrow.
And all hail Miguelito.
This is Gershwan.
Sound Alchemist out.
Oh,